It was a quiet December morning in 1996, and Boulder, Colorado wore its usual veneer of calm suburban life. Streets were lined with pine trees dusted in the season's first snow, and the crisp mountain air carried a clarity that often seemed to accentuate the ordinary rhythms of small-town existence. On that morning, the Ramsey household at 755 15th Street seemed no different than countless others, a picture of affluence and meticulous order. The family, well known in the community, had a routine steeped in stability, a bustling home filled with the sounds of children, laughter, and the occasional tension of parental demands. Yet beneath the surface of this carefully maintained domestic world, an unseen fracture was about to shatter the lives of all who dwelt there. JonBenet Ramsey was only 6 years old, a child whose precocious charm and striking presence often drew attention in local circles. Her life, filled with beauty pageants and an almost cinematic aura of innocence, made her familiar to many, yet unknowable in the most vital ways. The day began like any other. Patsy Ramsey, JonBenet's mother, went about her morning routine, preparing breakfast and readying herself and her daughter for the day. The house, still softly lit by early winter sunlight streaming through the windows, seemed secure, ordinary, and unthreatening. It was in this environment, so seemingly impenetrable, that the first cracks of tragedy appeared. Later that morning, the unexpected would arrive in the form of a disturbing discovery: a ransom note, painstakingly handwritten, left on the staircase landing. The note, unusual both in length and detail, demanded a substantial sum, hinting at an awareness of the family's wealth and perhaps a knowledge of intimate personal information. Its tone was unsettling, precise, yet disjointed, offering instructions that were both oddly formal and urgently threatening. At this point, what had been a tranquil suburban day became the genesis of a mystery that would confound investigators and grip the nation for decades. As authorities arrived, they entered a home that, at first glance, appeared undisturbed. Yet subtle anomalies began to emerge. The layout of the house, the placement of furniture, the barely perceptible signs of struggle, and the interactions of the family with the unfolding investigation all became threads in a larger tapestry of ambiguity. JonBenet's father, John Ramsey, reported noticing his daughter's absence, yet details surrounding her whereabouts, the timing of the events, and the sequence of actions within the household proved difficult to reconcile. Investigators found themselves navigating a complex interplay of statements, timelines, and circumstantial evidence, each element offering both clarity and contradiction in equal measure. The body of JonBenet was ultimately discovered in the basement of the home, hidden beneath layers of carpeting and faintly illuminated by the dim light that filtered through the stairwell. The scene itself was both chilling and confounding. Forensic details suggested a violence that clashed sharply with the expectations of suburban safety. Yet the lack of overt evidence pointing to an external intruder complicated any straightforward narrative. Investigators meticulously examined the home, searching for fingerprints, footprints, and other indicators. Yet the results were often ambiguous, raising as many questions as they seemed to answer. Small anomalies, a disturbed item here, an unusual stain there, became the subject of intense scrutiny. Each piece of evidence scrutinized not just for what it revealed, but for what it obscured. Over the ensuing days, timelines were reconstructed with painstaking attention to detail. Witness accounts, both from within the home and from neighbors, were collected and compared. Yet inconsistencies emerged. The family's recollections, though sincere, sometimes conflicted with one another and with physical evidence. Neighbors recalled hearing noises, seeing unusual movements, or noting unfamiliar figures in the vicinity, yet each report carried a degree of uncertainty. The house, a space that had once been a sanctuary, became both a focal point for investigation and a stage for human behavior, revealing how ordinary routines could be refracted through the lens of trauma and suspicion. Among the most debated aspects of the case were the details revealed in the ransom note and the manner of JonBenet's death. Some argued that the note suggested an external perpetrator with knowledge of the family, while others noted its unusual phrasing and specificity as potentially indicative of someone intimately familiar with household routines. The method and timing of the crime, reconstructed from forensic analysis, introduced further complexity. The sequence of events seemed deliberate, yet certain elements defied simple explanation. Each theory invited speculation, but every conclusion seemed to encounter a counterpoint, a contradiction, or an unexplained variable. The case was, from the outset, a labyrinth of intersecting facts and ambiguities. As weeks and months passed, the investigation expanded outward. Experts in forensic science, criminal behavior, and psychology were consulted, each bringing frameworks that could illuminate certain elements while simultaneously raising new questions. Profiles of potential suspects were constructed, behavioral patterns analyzed, and public statements scrutinized. Yet even with these sophisticated tools, definitive conclusions remained elusive. The interplay between what was known, what was inferred, and what remained uncertain created a tension that would persist for decades. Every revelation seemed to deepen the mystery, emphasizing the limits of perception, memory, and human understanding in the midst of tragedy. Media coverage, intense and unrelenting, added another layer of complexity. The story captured national attention, and public narratives often diverged from official reports. Each new article, broadcast, or analysis brought both illumination and distortion, shaping public perception while sometimes complicating investigative clarity. The family, cast into the spotlight, navigated grief while confronting the weight of suspicion, an experience that added a profoundly human dimension to the unfolding story. It was a case in which the tragedy was inseparable from the context of fame, speculation, and scrutiny. To this day, the murder of JonBenet Ramsey remains unsolved. Investigators continue to revisit evidence, reassess testimonies, and apply new forensic technologies in the hope of clarity. The questions linger. Was the crime perpetrated by someone inside the home or by an external intruder? What significance does each physical clue truly hold? How should the contradictions in witness statements and family accounts be interpreted? And perhaps most hauntingly, what does the persistence of uncertainty reveal about the fragility of human understanding in the face of violence? In the quiet corners of the Ramsey home, in the memory of those who knew her, and in the minds of those who have tried to make sense of it, JonBenet's story endures. It is a tale marked not only by the tragedy of a life cut short, but by the persistent intrigue of unanswered questions. The shadows of the events that December morning stretch across decades, leaving behind both sorrow and fascination. Each new theory, each renewed inquiry is a reminder that in true crime, as in life, certainty is often elusive, and the search for truth can be as haunting as the mystery itself. And so the case remains, a carefully constructed mosaic of human behavior, forensic evidence, and unresolved possibilities. It invites reflection, empathy, and speculation, compelling each observer to navigate the delicate line between what is known and what is unknowable. In the end, the story of JonBenet Ramsey is not only a chronicle of a crime, but a meditation on the fragile, often enigmatic nature of truth and the enduring human desire to illuminate the shadows of a mystery that refuses to fade. If you found this case fascinating, the next mystery is even more disturbing. A man entered a bar in Ohio and vanished without a trace. Click the video on your screen now to watch the full investigation. And don't forget to subscribe to Hidden Truth for more true crime documentaries.